Well, good morning, everyone. Just getting ready for my paddle today. I hope we'll be around the Marian Creek River Lake Loop, north and northeast of Marten River Park. Conveniently, I can take the canoe right from my campsite. I don't have to take it anywhere. So I'm just getting ready here. So I'm just going to show you what I'm taking today, and then we'll get started. So I have first here my lunch, food, water, and all that. PFD, safety kit. I wear a vest when I'm paddling. And then under here, I've got more water, swim shoes, a dry bag for my lunch and so forth, a rope if I have to line, though I doubt that'll happen today, and then my large canoe pack here, 125 liters, almost a dry bag, and then over here I've got my gaiters and my hat. Boots are over there. This is my camera stuff, and I'm still deciding what to take. And finally, my ballast jugs. So these I fill with the lake water to keep the bow from getting pushed around in the wind. Now today is a river trip for the most part, so probably won't need it, but we'll just have to see. But they don't weigh very much, and they fit in the canoe pack quite nicely, so we'll just go with that. So I hope that today it's supposed to be 17 kilometers, and there's about 2 kilometers of portaging at a minimum, maybe 2.5. But the question was, of course, is the condition of these portages. Can I get to them? Are they cleared, or are they just a portage on a map and not in real life? So we're going to have to wait and see how this all looks forward, and we'll go from there. The portage is just around the camp roads here. The lake is just behind me. So it looks like we're all set to go now. So I'm just going to pack up my canoe and portage. The pack looks quite substantial, of course, but remember that the ballast cans are in there. It wouldn't be more than 25. The canoe, with the paddles and everything else, the canoe is rated at 57. It might have an extra pound of water in it or something. And then the paddle, so it's probably just over 60. So the carry would be 86, 87 or something like that, but the distance is probably no more than maybe 200 meters, something like that. So anyhow, here we go. Now, canoe pack is designed to hang lower on your body so the canoe doesn't get in the way when you're carrying. If you use a backpack, a standard hiking backpack, they sit higher, and when you go to carry, often the canoe will be tipped down because it's hitting the load behind you. So unfortunately, it's just like anything else, you have to use the equipment that's suited for the task. Putting the canoe on your shoulders, first off, having a padded yoke rest is essential as far as I'm concerned. And we're on our way. And we'll see you down at the water. All right, we're here at the put-in. It's about 200 40 meters. And this is Marten Lake. And the river is somewhere about there where we start all this. And I'm not going to use the ballast jugs. You can see I'm just using the pack. I don't think the wind is strong enough to worry about saving the time messing around with it. So we're going to just go like that. And here we go. So I'm on the water, my first paddle of 2023. Hopefully be able to make it around. If things work out, we'll be coming from over there at the end, and we're going in here somewhere and all around, back around. Anyhow, it's nice to be on the water again. I don't do enough of it, and hoping now that I'm retired, I'm going to be able to get in the kilometers and the experiences that I wasn't able to for so many years. Anyhow, we're on our way today. We'll see you later on. So I just saw a white bird with a black head and yellow beak, fairly good sized. It was a mating pair, and they flew away. No call. So we'll see what that looks like. I don't know if it's a northern shoveler or not, just but it's something different anyway. So I'm not very far in here and got to my first beaver dam. I might go over there where there's a bit more dirt, and hopefully we can just slide the canoe over. But it's a good, I don't know, 18 inches anyway, foot, 18 inches. And there's enough dirt and grass in it that this has been here a while. Remarkable. This river is remarkable. It's just meander after meander, but on a windier day, it's a great place to paddle. What a beautiful place to go here. Just take you along for a ride here for a few minutes. Looks like it's opening up here a bit. So I'm about 3 kilometers in from the campsite now, and with all the meanders and everything, this is the first obstacle where I have to either break it down or portage. I'm going to check it out. I just got to make sure, because if you see here, there's a current in the water in some places, like over there. There might be as much as 2 kilometers an hour, maybe more. So I don't want to lose the boat. So I got to be mindful of that as well here today. So I'm gonna get out at this little landing here and see what I can find, but I gotta first make sure the boat isn't going anywhere. So it's kind of an awkward thing here, but I'm sawing through the bottom of this. Hopefully it'll break it, and then we can push it aside and get past, because it looks otherwise we can get going there. So I've found a little bit of a trail to get around this stuff. I'm gonna have to do a bit of cutting, but that's okay. So there's the canoe, and that's the direction of which I've come, and then we go this way, and again you can, a little bit of gardening, you should be able to do it and get through there, and then we're past this impassable section here, and we'll go from there. But lunch comes first. It's nice to be back on the water again, and a river trip is always different than the lake trip. And with the wind today, I think we're probably kind of glad we're doing this. So, wonderful. So here's my canoe. After so far up the river, you can see all the debris that's fallen into it from all the low-hanging branches. It's been a bit of a struggle. One of the challenges I find in these situations is that you've got to slow down and not get in a hurry, do the right things, and take your time, because if you wipe out and fall or do something silly just by even bad luck, you've got a problem. So that's what I'm always consciously reminding myself here, to just take my time and do the next thing and go up as far as I can. And if ultimately you can't get through, then I can get onto the highway, and if I have to, I can portage all the way back to the campsite. So I got through that, and I got to the highway bridge. There was a pretty good rapid underneath it. I was able to pull through that, P-O-L-E, and then I just got around the corner. There's the highway bridge there, and but it looks upstream here as if it's yet another obstacle, one after the other. We've got a rapid here. There's more stuff upstream. My route was 17 kilometers today. I've done 4 of it, struggling with all this and the pretty significant current that you can also see. And so I'm going to abort. I'm going to back up here 50 meters, pull out, and then go down the highway and portage back to my campsite. There's no point in going along here not having any idea of these major portages in the backcountry, if they're in any kind of condition, and you know, hacking my way through it until whenever. I don't see that being a prudent choice. That's the way it goes sometimes. So we're gonna get out of here, and I'll report when I'm on the road. All right, so I did the 1.2 or whatever kilometer portage down the highway, and behind me is Beach Lake, which is across the road from the Marten River Park. And what I want to do is, since I have the time, I'm going to paddle this lake to the other end. Back in there somewhere is where the portage was supposed to come out. So what I want to do is go see if these portages even exist, because the river in the beginning was okay, but as we went further upstream, that is not a realistic river paddle as far as I'm concerned, between the 2 kilometer/hour current plus all the obstacles. I mean, you just can't get through there in a reasonable period of time. So we're going to check these portages and see what goes on. Then I'll come back out of here and cross over into Marten Lake and paddle a little bit before going back to camp. So this is the east shore of the North Bay of Beach Lake, and I can't see any evidence there's any portage or path. Now I suspect it'll be in the South Bay if it does exist, but just check it. Well, we've had quite a wind build up here. Must be 35 kilometers an hour in some places, so it should be a little bit of an adventure getting back, but So given this pretty wild wind that's going on right now, probably 30 an hour most of it, and with gusts higher, I had to fill the jugs. So I had found this little cove here behind some trees at the east end of Beach Lake. The wind is basically coming straight down the lake. I can't seem to find shelter on either side, so it's almost dead on. It was supposed to be southwest, and this would make it more northwest, I guess. Anyhow, I've got filled the jugs, so that's 30 liters, so that's something over 60 or 70 pounds up at the bow there, which should make a difference, and we'll see what happens. So I scanned the entire shoreline. There's absolutely nothing indicative of a portage, and I think these map book people, various types of guidebooks and so on, you gotta really understand, you can't tell people this stuff is here, and when you get to there's absolutely nothing, and the river isn't even close to passable halfway up. You know, you plan a trip based on this information, and I think that that has to change. You know, I get it. If the routes are worn out, then take them off the maps, especially when it's online. This should be something that should be right on top of. Otherwise, don't do it, because it's a lot of fun to go to these routes. You don't mind a little bit of things to do. You know there's going to be a tree down here or there, but that's not where we're going. That's not what's going on here. It's supposed to be a 900-meter portage here, plus another 400 meters after that to get to the lake. There's absolutely nothing. It's not good enough. You know, it's amazing how long sometimes I wait till I do things to make my life easier. For years I fought the wind with a canoe, and then I got these collapsible jugs because they weren't weighing very much, but I'm not smart enough to be able to fill a collapsible jug in a lake. So then I got these rigid ones, and I just paddled straight up through Beach Lake in a 20 to 30 kilometer wind, and it was basically just straight going. It's a little slower, of course, but compared to the back and forth stuff you get, I mean, it is just amazing. And the those jugs are twice as far away from the center of the boat than I am, and they're 66 pounds, so it's like having a 120-pound person with the mathematics at the same distance I am, and bow down. And when that happens, then the boat doesn't swing. I mean, we're sitting here, I'm not even paddling, and we've turned 90 degrees into the wind while I'm sitting here, and I can straighten her out, no problem at all. So having ballast jugs in your boat, if you do single stuff, especially when you don't have a heavy pack, it's the only way to go. Okay, so we've portaged, I don't know, about 550 meters from beach over here to Marten Lake inside the park, and camp is kind of just around the corner there, that way sort of, and then there's that 250-meter portage back to camp. So that's the plan right now. It's I don't know, getting close to 4 o'clock, and the struggles of the day, I'm tired. It's my first canoe trip of the year, outing like this, and it was great. I really enjoyed it, but I'm feeling the day and the struggles of everything. So looking forward to getting back to camp. So I'm just about to fill my jugs, and these are the two that make everything so much easier. So I'm just going to fill those full of water. Each one's 15 liters, so 33 pounds each when they're full, so that's a bit. We put them in the canoe right up there. My canoe goes backwards when there's just one person in it. If there's two, then the helm would be at the back and the front, and now I sit and face the other way, and that makes it easy to steer. And then, like I said, put the weight in this area here, and the canoe sits pretty nicely. Well, that was a great day out in the woods. It didn't go quite as planned, but that happens. But it was sure a wonderful experience, and in many places I'm covering ground I hadn't covered before. You may wonder about the paddle I use. I had used, of course, stock paddles for years, straight ones, and a friend introduced me to the bent shaft paddle. Now the thinking there, largely used in racing, is that when you stroke, here the paddle is vertical with the water. If you have a standard paddle, you're like this, and when you make your effort, you're partially lifting water as well as forcing the canoe, and that's wasted energy. I really like it. Now, with respect to the width, this is 11 inches wide. Many stock paddles are 8 or even less. What I found, especially when I was challenged with the wind, was that at 8 even, I could pull it through the water to little effect, almost like putting my hand through the water. And I wanted a little wider blade so that if I needed to, I'd have an extra gear. Now what this does for me is, you really can't J-stroke with it. So I just switch sides fairly rapidly and it seems to work. My track's a little bit serpentine, but you know, whatever. So as a consequence, I prefer this over the straight paddles. I know some guys are talking about using kayak paddles in a canoe, and I can understand why they want to do it and everything. I really enjoy having this. I find it stronger. I can pull with it. I can do things with it I'm not so sure I'd want to do with a plastic based paddle like I would from a kayak. But anyhow, this gets me, when the water's calm, I can average in this canoe here, which is 36 inches wide, so it's a fairly broad canoe. I can still get over 6 kilometers an hour fairly consistently. So I'm pretty happy. But anyhow, there's my paddle story. And now we've got to unload and get back to camp. So just a short thing about how I orient my canoe for portaging. The canoe is almost perfectly balanced when there's nothing in it. So the paddles just very slightly make the back end heavy, as does the life jacket. And I've played around with this for a number of years. And then I've got a very generous yoke pad, which should come with every canoe, to be honest with you. What I find now is that if I just rest my right arm on the seat ahead of me, that the canoe stays perfectly balanced, and I have authority to do that. It's much easier to pull it down than to try and push it up. So that's sort of the way I work it. All right, we're on our way back to the camp. Okay, first video ever of me portaging. I don't use trekking poles when I portage. Somehow the weight just keeps me stable. I don't know why. And I find with 80 or 90 pounds I can go, you know, best part of a kilometer or 600 meters, depending on how high the hills are and how good the trail is. Well, I'm back, and it's been a great day. Thanks for watching and enjoying my trip on the Marian River.
So my campsite is in the lower left of this map, and then I crossed the small lake and went up the river, and you can see how winding it is, which in general is no problem. Probably right at the beginning of the river mouth, there is a beaver dam, which you have to lift over. And for a while, the river is pretty much still. But however, when you get up maybe past that hill that's on the left there, the current starts to increase as you, I guess, gain altitude. And by the time you get to the highway, it's probably close to 2 kilometers an hour, which makes it quite a strenuous paddle. And certainly in the windings prior to that, it's also still pretty significant. And when you're going through what is impenetrable forest in many places, having that significant current really makes this whole region impassable. So you can certainly go up the stream for maybe a kilometer or so, and it's nice, but I'd be cautious about recommending any further. So when I got to the highway, I took out and I portaged down the highway, 1.3 kilometers, and then I went into Beach Lake, and you can see how I went to both ends there, especially the south end, which is where the 900-meter portage was supposed to come out. I couldn't find absolutely any evidence that that portage existed or that there was any use of it in the sense of accessibility. It was all reeded in and everything else. So this route, as far as I'm concerned, is non-functional. And then I came out and went across the highway to the park area and then back to the campsite. So it was about 14 kilometers, but it was an arduous day. But it was a very interesting day, and certainly in that river, there's lots of places. It's a very wild feeling. It's wonderful. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching this trip, and I hope to see you again. Take care.